So when your race or ethnicity is questioned, do people often phrase the question as, "What are you?"
Yeah. And it's usually met with like an assumption that I am Mexican. I mean, I am, but no one ever like assumes that I'm Honduran. It's always, oh, you're Mexican, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, they do. And then they tend to imply like I'm a Mexican, I'm a Salvadorian, and like stuff like that.
Yeah, a lot. Honestly, when people like look at me like initially, people are they don't know what like Asian I am, because sometimes like people think like, cause like I'm Filipino, so traditional Filipinos back in like the mainland, they're more darker, like they're more darker skin tone, like more moreno. But for me, like I'm like white, so people sometimes mistake me for like Chinese, Korean, Vietnamese. Like a lot of them are like Western Asians. So that's probably something that people like always confuse me about.
Do you ever have experiences with people where you get questioned why you don't speak Spanish?
Yeah. Okay. With my friends, they're very Mexican. Like they go to Mexico all the time. Their parents speak Spanish to them only. Like I feel like they're very Mexican. It's a part of like who they are, a part of their identity. And they have questioned me like, why don't you speak Spanish? Why don't you try? Why don't you like eat a certain type of foods? Why don't you listen to Spanish music? I'm just like, like, like I don't know. Like it's just. Not that it makes me feel uncomfortable, I just feel vulnerable, I guess.
Are there any experiences, foods, places, words, etc., related to your culture that you just will not say or do because you don't want to feel judged?
Basically everything. I'm taking Spanish right now, but I'm only taking it because it's the easiest language for me, because like I understand it and I can listen to it and like I can do all that, but I can't speak it because I feel like I'm gonna be judged from my white accent, I guess, because like I don't sound Hispanic when I talk Spanish. You get me? Like I sound like a white girl trying to talk Spanish rather than having that like fluency, I guess. And and then I don't like a lot of Hispanic foods because like I don't really like salsa, so I also feel like I'm very whitewashed in a sense. So yeah, there's a lot of things I won't do because I feel like I'll be judged for it.
I mean, like with Gigi's family again, I'm using them as an example. When I'm with them, I definitely speak a lot less Spanish because they speak Spanish more fluently, and I just feel not that I feel judged. I just feel embarrassed that I can't speak Spanish as well and like keep up conversations. So a lot of times, like they'll speak to me in Spanish and I'll reply to them in English, like something like that, because I just don't want to make a mistake, you know.
Do you do that like out in public too, or are you more comfortable out in public?
I'd say I'm more comfortable for the most part when I like speak Spanish. It's different than when I speak English. When I speak English, it kind of just flows, like I kind of just say it as I think it. But in Spanish, I definitely have to think a lot more about what I'm saying because it's not my first language. I kind of translate it first in my head before I say it. I guess that makes sense.
Do you ever have people come up to you just speaking Spanish because they assume that you speak Spanish?
Oh yeah. And I mean, depending on like the situation of where I am, like I will be caught off guard and like it'll take me a second to like, you know, transition to Spanish.
It's like things that I don't want to do as part of my culture. I don't think there's anything that I wouldn't do, because it's like for me personally, I have no problem with it. I think there's mostly just food. There's just like certain like delicacies that I don't eat. But other than that, I don't think there's something that happens that I wouldn't like necessarily do myself.
Have you ever felt that judgment from any stranger that is a part of your culture?
Yeah, I have. I remember one time I was in a store and this lady asked me like for directions in Spanish, and I was just like, ma'am, first of all, I don't work here. And then I just kind of like pointed over there, and I could tell like she was like what the heck, you know, that I didn't respond back to her in Spanish. But yeah, it has happened before.
And how does that make you feel when that happens?
Like I should apologize for not being more Hispanic. That I haven't been more Mexican, like Salvadorian, I guess.
Do you ever like say, I'm sorry, I don't speak Spanish? You do?
Yeah, all the time.
Yes, and this one's gonna be, I guess this one's more based off appearance. The one that came to my mind first was what was it, 2 years ago? It was either 2 or 3 years ago now. I went to Germany to play, I went to train and play soccer with this semi-pro team for like a month. And while I was there, it was just, I wouldn't say there were a lot of racist encounters, but it was more like culture shock encounter, where I literally would be walking down the street, and I was in this little town called Lunen, and it was outside of Dortmund. So it was a really small town, and it was very traditional, I guess is the word I'm gonna use. And I would be like walking down the street, and people would literally walk up to me and just ask me, "Are you Mexican?" You know, like things like that. They would just, random people would just be walking up to me curious because they had never seen a Mexican before in their life, like things like that. And that's something I think is gonna stay with me. That shocked me a lot.
Like this is like going really back. We have this traditional like not costume, like article of clothing. It's called a barong. So it's like this very light, delicate. Think of it as like a dress shirt, and then it's very light, so you can see through, so you wear it underneath. But it's very let's see, I don't think popular is the right word, but it's very special and unique because it's like people in the Philippines wear that for special occasions like weddings, anniversaries, stuff like that. It's a very delicate and special clothing. So we had a culture day in school. So then me and my like cousin, my other like a different cousin, like second cousin, like we wore barongs for culture day. And then we were at recess, and then we were playing dodgeball, because that's what we always do. We play dodgeball with like our other classmates. And then me and my cousin didn't want to play because our parents told us this is very delicate. We don't want to get them dirty because they can easily get dirty and stuff like that. And we agreed, like we didn't want to like mess up our like, because we were like oh this shit's so cool, like we're wearing our culture to school, whatever, blah blah blah. And then our friends were asking like, oh, why didn't you want to play dodgeball with us? And they were like, oh, it's because we're wearing this and it's very like unique and delicate and stuff like that. And then this fool tried throwing the ball at us, like, and then we're like, what the heck, dude? And he's like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to like ruin your delicate shirts. And I was like, oh, I was like, damn, okay.
Yeah. Would you feel that in places outside of your culture,
Mm-hmm.
and when you get asked to identify and you say Filipino, do people take opportunities to degrade you for that, whether or not they mean it, and whether or not it's intentional?
Yeah, it's like when I mentioned like the first question is like, oh, like I didn't know you're Filipino, or like, oh, I thought you were like this and this, like I thought you were this Asian, and then they'll even like take a step further, oh, because of like what you like, oh, because of your hair, or oh, because of your skin, or just because of your facial complexion, like stuff like that.
How does that make you feel?
I mean, like compared to like outside my culture, like I guess like even though it's like kind of bad, it kind of makes sense because it's hard for people to distinguish like the different kinds of Asian. So okay, but then when it's like an actual Filipino that says, oh, I thought you were this and this, and I was like, guess we're not the same. So I think it kind of, in that context or in that sense, it kind of you feel it more.
Are there any other experiences that you want to share?
I was in high school, right? And then I had this math program that I had to go to like at 7 a.m, because my whole grade level was like had really bad math scores. So we had to go to class and like practice math like at 7 a.m. and then we had to go to school after that. And then I hadn't really learned what they were teaching. So I had my headphones on. And technically, I mean, I was in the wrong because I wasn't supposed to listen to music and I wasn't supposed to have my phone. But I was listening to music because like I already knew how to do it. And this guy, this teacher, he was a white man. And he just like, he saw me with my headphones and he just went off. He was like, oh, why don't you care about your education? You're just going to be another Hispanic statistic of a female girl being pregnant and dropping out of school. Like, you need to take more care about your education because like this is going to make or break you. Don't become another number. Don't become pregnant. Don't drop out. And he was just going off on me. I'm just like, what the fuck? You get me? And then nobody backed me up or anything. Everybody was just doing their work and they just looked away as soon as he left. And I just felt so like targeted because like I already knew how to do the shit he was teaching us. And like I didn't even have him as a teacher because I was a grade level above him. You get me? So I was like, I think that was in 10th grade or something. And I was already in 11th grade math. So like I was above everyone else in that class. And he was going off on me for not caring about my education. I was just like, sir, first of all, you don't even know me. Like, I don't know you. He shouldn't have like targeted me like that. And I forgot about that until like right now.
Like if someone were to call me whitewashed, I feel like they're devaluing my Mexican and Honduran side, you know?
Has anyone ever called you whitewashed?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Was that from somebody outside of your culture, within your culture, your own family?
It's usually it has been my own family. It's been my cousin Bianca has told me that. And it's always been someone within the same ethnicity, I want to say. I don't think I've been called whitewashed by another race because that would be
I don't think it's ever gone that far, at least. I think when it's like American, they just simply mean like American, which I'm glad.
Have you ever experienced anything where somebody called you like whitewashed?
Whitewash? Yeah. I like whitewash or like Americanized, yeah.
So would you say those two are kind of similar when they're being addressed to you?
Like whitewash and Americanized? Mm-hmm. I think kind of yeah. I think yeah. Then like in a way, it's like the same thing.
Like I had a friend who was she was from India, I believe, and then she thought I was white instead of Hispanic, just from like the way that I presented myself. So I thought that was really interesting.
Can you explain a little bit more on that? What do you mean by interesting?
I found it interesting because like I feel like even though like I am pretty like tan, you get me? Like I feel like I do portray myself as Hispanic, at least through like my morals and stuff. But we were friends like online, so I could see how she could think that I was like white because I do have very like American ideals and stuff like that. So I don't know. I just thought it was really interesting because like I never had anyone assume I was white before. Yeah.
And you were talking about Hispanic ideals and American ideals. Do you find that they ever clash? And can you define them?
Yeah, I think they do clash because at least for Hispanic ideals, they're very family oriented and very like religious oriented. At least for American ideals, they're more like individualized and like less based on religion in a way, but they're also very based on religion because I don't know, I feel like American ideals are very like Christian oriented, whereas like Hispanic ideals are very like Catholic oriented. So I feel like I'm kind of caught in the middle, but also like nowhere at the same time. Yeah.
Has anyone around you ever made you distinctly aware of these differences?
Yeah, my mom would say like, "Oh, you guys' generation is so crazy. You guys' generation is like so new and so different than my generation." And I think like, although like the times have changed and stuff like that, but I feel like we, like I guess we as a society has just like become more like open-minded in things compared to like Hispanic ideals. It's just like, I was taught this way, you're gonna be taught this way, and you're gonna teach your children this way. So it's very like family oriented and very like, because I was taught this way, we have to keep the tradition going on. There you go. It's very traditional in a way. Mm-hmm.